I'm Deep Mahaman, and you're watching the Redmen TV.
Hello, welcome to Redmen TV. It's the Uncensored match build-up show. Liverpool face Stoke City in the Capital One Cup.
Semi-final.
First leg. I know it's the semi-final. I know it's the first leg. I'm always unsure on what this competition's called at this point in time, which is why I normally make the run below.
Emirates?
That's the FA Cup, isn't it?
Close.
Yeah, which we didn't know until we saw it come up during the game before.
I was wondering why Wickham playing at the Emirates.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Chris Pedrick's here, of course. John Machin's here as well. For those of you who watch the Final Word show, you will know that already. But if you haven't, here we are. Go for it on the redmentv.com. Anyway, Chris, let's just get stuck straight into it. Shocking, mate. Shocking performance at the weekend. We need a reaction.
Oh, big time, mate. I just with who? From the players that played. It's going to have to be, really, isn't it?
Because even if we had all the players fit...
We're resting for Exeter.
Yeah. Even if we had everyone fit, the vast majority of that team would still start. Yeah. Anyway, to be fair.
Well, Alana's got to come in, hasn't it? Hasn't he? And then it's who are you going to take out?
Yeah. Firmino. Or I.
Yeah, it's Firmino in it, really, let's be honest. After the last few performances...
Or Benteke. Well, yeah, that's an interesting one. But
play the old 4-6.
Well, we'll come into this a bit more, and of course, Chris, you'll be doing a starting 11 prediction. But I think the most important thing for the start, Dad, is that we said it after Newcastle, we said it after Watford. Now we're saying it after West Ham. Can't have any more of them. You know, the bare minimum requirements Liverpool expects, is for players to go out there and give their all and be competitive. And too many times in recent weeks, we've just not been competitive on the pitch.
Yeah, and Klopp sort of went that way as well, didn't he? After the West Ham game, he said they only gave 90%, which I think is a bit generous. Probably more like 45%. Yeah. But they do need to put in more effort, but I don't think that's enough. They need to find a style of play which will get a result. I mean, it doesn't have to be a massive win or anything, because it's two legs. But we've been to Stoke twice recently. Once we got a low win, and the other one we got a pasting. Yeah. And so you have to find some means to go with that first the second one as it was chronologically, the 1-0 win. Yeah. Rather than a 6-1 pasting. And it really depends on what Stoke turn up. Yeah. We all know they're playing quite well. We know that they've got a goal in them, even though they haven't scored many this season, because the Everton game showed they know where the goal is, and we showed them how to score goals last season.
Yeah. Hey, listen,
but if they decide to attack us, then our game is good enough to tear them apart. But they may well look at our recent results and think, why bother? Why not just sit here? Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Fortunately, they're not managed by Pulis anymore, because I think if they were managed by Pulis, that's exactly what they do.
They've also got a home crowd who are pretty rabid, aren't they?
Mark Hughes is a good manager, though, isn't he? You know what I mean? And he will be looking at he'll be looking.
He's just been Pulis, though.
It's just been Pulis. But the fact is, he'll be looking at it and thinking, how good's that going to look on my CV? If I take Stoke to a cup final, if I win a piece of silverware with Stoke, there you go. That's Stoke's ambitions fulfilled for life. There, you know what I mean. And
actually, the reason that they got rid of Pulis, isn't it? And they justified the board, aren't they, in that decision completely. Then as well.
And it's a bigger game it's a bigger game for them than us. Not only in terms of
not anymore.
For their fans, this is the biggest thing they've had for as long as I can remember. Yeah. And that's not the case for us. We were in the semi-final of this last year.
The problem with that, though, is remember Aston Villa, their fans turned up.
Yeah.
They were gunning for that game, and the fans were and the team were, and it's whether Liverpool pick themselves up.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying Stoke will be there for this game. Yeah. Their fans will be absolutely on top note. They will expect a great performance from their team because they'll want to go into the final. Yeah. And it'll be exactly like that semi-final against Villa where they turn up and we don't. Yeah. Hopefully we will turn up. Yeah. But
it's important. Is it important to remember though that obviously it does take place over two legs. The fact of the matter is we've been bemoaning to the lack of cutting edge and whatever. I'd have taken one at the weekend. It never happened that way, but a 1-0 win away from home in a two-legged game. If we can getting a goal,
Yeah,
getting a win by any means necessary is important.
This for me is where Klopp's experience should be drawn upon. Yeah. You know, his European experience. I know it's not a game in Europe, like, but a two-legged game. He's had plenty of these over the years, and he knows how to approach these types of ties. Yeah. And I think that's what he should be doing. I also think something at the back of my mind goes, go and try and get a goal away. Just go and try and put a little bit of breathing room, because the atmosphere at Anfield at the moment, the way that we are as fans and stuff, you don't want to be going to Anfield with a 0-0 or with it being a goal, because it's going to be nervous. Yeah. And I'd try and get the job done at Stoke.
I suppose it's one of those, isn't it, that you just don't know. You just don't know with Liverpool, because what you should do is you should go and you should be very tight, you should be very aggressive, we should go and park the bus, look to nick one on the counter, do a good solid.
Bring them back to our place.
Exactly, because we've got the ties.
So this team and this fan base at the moment doesn't feel like that's the right call, does it?
Exactly. This is the dilemma we've got. Is because you do the standard European thing, because all the pressure in this tie is on Stoke, because they've got to come to Anfield in the second leg, and it doesn't even matter, you know, because we know we'll get a great response out of the crowd for that second leg, regardless of what the score is going to be. So you kind of want, you know, you just want to frustrate the life out of them in front of their own fans, so that they have to come to Anfield and they have to be a little bit more adventurous, and then it open up for us. Because the worst thing that can possibly happen is that we end up where it's level, or they've got a slight advantage going into Anfield, because, you know, that's where your nerves. This is the problem with, I don't know the answer.
You know what? I'd rather, sounds fucking stupid, I'd rather be a goal down going into the second leg than level. Because I think the crowd will be well more up for it, and you sort of cultivate that underdog thing, don't you? You know.
But if we're a goal down and Stoke decide, well, we'll just defend this, I'm not sure we have the players to do anything about it.
I don't actually think that it's that Stoke anymore. Yeah. You know, the way that they play with Arnautovic, Bojan and Shaqiri is very much a 4-3-3, and I don't know whether they've got that 4-5-1 in them, even if they use those players to do it. It is a completely different Stoke side. Yes, they'll be more pragmatic, of course they would, if they were a goal up or something like that. But you know, I think the atmosphere at Anfield, it can go two ways. Yeah. We need to make sure it's a good one if we do get to the second leg.
For me, I think a lot of this is going to depend, and we discussed this a lot post West Ham, that I think we need to cross our fingers and hope one or two players are back. You know, Daniel Sturridge, obviously no sign of him against West Ham, no sign of Henderson. The hope is
they did mention in commentary, didn't they? After West Ham game.
The hope is that Henderson's going to be fine. You know, he should be okay for this.
Sturridge is apparently fit. It's just a question of when he completes his mini pre-season training thing that Klopp wants him to do.
But I just think it's.
But I'd rather they saved him for Arsenal.
Yeah, but you've got a week to Arsenal, and we've got Exeter before then. I'd be saying, take Exeter off, because if we can go, it's one of those things, isn't it? Look, we should be giving our all in every game. It should go without saying. But if you were forced to compromise, you should have enough, and God knows how many times we've said this about the FA Cup, should have enough against Exeter. It's important that we get something out of the Stoke game, that we get that 1-0, or we get the 2-1, whatever, get an away goal no matter what. And I think to do that we need to be as dangerous as possible. I would gamble on someone to give us that cutting edge, because I think at the minute, if we've got the same attacking players available to us that we had against West Ham, or it's just the same players in general, Stoke are probably a bit more dangerous, you know. Arnautovic is in better form than any of our attacking players. Bojan's probably just about in
I think
better form.
Bojan's the most dangerous of the three of them at the moment. You know, he's come back off an injury, hasn't he? And he looks to have had a few games under his belt now, and he looks dangerous every time he picks the ball up.
Yeah. So it's a mad one, but I mean the good thing to remember is you said they did score 4 against Everton, but it's out of character for Stoke. They're as bad at scoring goals as we are. So it's probably going to be a 0-0 thriller. See what I did? That was poor, that wasn't it? Yeah. A big question then, Chris, and so the last of the big things we'll do before we go to score predictions. Has our league form shifted priority further towards the cups?
In a normal season, I would say yes. But because the results have been so balmy, I think we can't take our eye off the league at all. I mean, normally, you'd probably think there'd be maybe a 15-point gap to 4th place in a normal season now. And the fact that it's 8, means that you can't just focus on the cups, and ultimately the league's the most important. And I think, you know, it would be very easy for the players to start focus on that, and it's Klopp's job to make sure that they don't.
Yeah, I think for me that again it's a shame because the top four's clearly ripe, but I just don't. At the minute, it feels increasingly like we're not going to be capable of taking advantage.
This feels pretty much like the season before the great season, when we started to get some form after Christmas, and we just didn't get anywhere because everyone else was winning by then, and we just never made any inroads. We finished about 7th, didn't we? Yeah. We started off at 7th, finished 7th, even though we had much better form. It feels a bit like that to me. But, you know, Klopp's saying he's taking each game as it comes, and I actually believe he is. Yeah. I think he's saying, this is the next game, that's a game we can win. I expect us to go out and win it. So I don't think he's going to focus on anything particularly. And he's in a good position because he's got no pressure on him, has he? Don't think anyone's expecting him to win anything in particular. I think I suspect he will be thrilled to get a cup under his belt early in his career.
It takes all the pressure off in that regard, doesn't it?
So I think he'll put out a team to win it at Stoke.
The thing I think actually is that if we're not capable of getting into the top 4, then we're not good enough to be in the Champions League next season anyway. So even if we squeaked into the top 4, there's plenty of cases to be made that we're still not good enough to be in there anyway. Whereas I think, and I said this when we changed the managers, that I felt this season that although it was there for the taking, that league-wise, position-wise, we're probably not going to see a great improvement. Because Klopp's still got he's still got to learn the league, he's still got to learn the position. He did the press conference for the West Ham game, like 2 days before, and he basically said, once this press conference finishes, I'm going to look at West Ham. We're going to actually sit down and start looking at West Ham. It's like, you know, and he's, to be fair, you know, part of be gamesmanship, but in terms of actually knowing what he's talking about and watching it, you know, how will he have had time when will he have sat down and watched 10 West Ham games this season? How he won't know a great deal about the opposition, so he's gonna be that learning curve. But the cups I think that's where we will see our biggest improvement this season. I think I can just see us ultimately finishing about 7th or 8th in the league and probably walking away with a piece of silverware. And wouldn't be an exceptional season, but it would probably right now, given our poor league form, I'd take that. And look, the League Cup is the one that's there, with 3 games away from silverware. That should be our primary focus.
I think the problem as a fan for me and hearing and that is like every year that we're out of the Champions League, and I know we wouldn't be good enough. I fully agree with you there, but you need to keep your name there, don't you?
And we weren't good enough in 2005.
No, we weren't, but your name gets back in there. You know, finishing 7th, 8th in the league when you're trying to sign players makes it more difficult, doesn't it? Yeah. You know, and I don't think a Capital One Cup helps that in any way.
No, not at all.
Like the Europa League might. Well,
I think it puts your squad in an all round. It doesn't heap loads of extra pressure on that's unnecessary. You know, it doesn't mean, because ultimately, if you get into the top 4. You absolutely have to mount a title challenge next season. If you're in there, you'd absolutely have to get to the last 16 of the Champions League.
The other thing is that we've got very few players left in that side who've ever won anything. Yeah. You know, so winning the trophies, a lot of them are going to think this is brilliant.
Look, no eras were ever defined by a League Cup win, ever.
Apart from Mourinho's.
But this is the thing, isn't it? It's good to get that. And again, you know, we can't spend a lot of our time skitting the Evertonians for not winning trophies when we don't win any ourselves. Takes that pressure off, and again, that's why for me, you know, take it as it comes, right here, right now. Focus on this one. There's a good chance that you can have that safely tucked away by February and worry about the rest of it. It takes the pressure off. Like I say, it takes the pressure off the FA Cup. It takes the pressure off the Europa Leagues to some extent, even though you'd rather win both of those competitions. But yeah, there you go. There's any thoughts on that in the comments below. Anyway, score predictions, Dan?
3-1.
Wow, crazy, but go on.
You throw me there. Normally pick the same as you, John, but you're on your own today, mate. I'm going for...
I didn't say who for.
I'm going to go for 1-0 Liverpool.
Okay, now, I don't do this very often. In fact, never. I'm going to predict a 2-1 to Stoke.
Okay.
Because at the minute, I don't trust us to not concede, but I think we'll and it'll set up that semi-final, exactly what you're talking about. Having the away goal, but being being behind, needing to press, and needing one goal to take us through. And what a night that'll set
so
up at Anfield.
can you predict the second game for us now as well, please?
Well, we're going to win 1-0.
In what minute?
No.
Is it going to be the Lucas goal, or is Lovren going to score a header?
Definitely, yeah. No, I think there's going to
You'll take a scummy 1-0 win in the second leg regardless.
There's going to be a goal in it this game. Stoke don't score loads of goals. We don't score loads of goals. The most any team's going to score in that game is 2. So it's going to be.
I love the fact that you've set that up for the second leg with I'll take a scummy 1-0. You've set it up so early.
We'll score with a fucking thunderbolt to win it, and the Kop will go into absolute raptures. Jurgen will, do a Klinsmann dive in front of the Kop to celebrate and all that kind of, and do one of these again, and we'll all love it, and then we'll get beat by City in the final. But anyway,
Everton will be in the final, mate.
Yeah, let us know your score predictions in the comments below. How do you think Liverpool should approach this? Do we have the ability? Do we basically cross our fingers and pray for fit, better players? All those thoughts below. Thumb up, subscribe, of course, and check out the rest of the content, the brilliant content, the exceptional content, the full-length, in-depth, in-detail content on the redmentv.com.
Back one.
The back one. Are you a PlayStation or Xbox?
Xbox, to be fair, yeah.
And what about
Xbox?
Are you sounding sure then? You can change
Yeah,
your mind.
now and again, different.
You like to play away from